Hi there, I'm Maria Scrimenti here to provide you with a free training to help you start making peace with food. Personally, I used to feel very out of control around food. I would track my calories in MyFitnessPal for a time, but it never stuck. I was never able to sustain it long term. I really wanted to lose weight, but I felt like my relationship with food kept getting in the way. I felt like I was in a food prison. It was like food had power over me, and I was confused about what to eat and largely just overwhelmed by food. So basically, every day for me just ended in a binge. I used to arrive home after a long day of teaching fitness classes, managing gym operations, and personal training, and I would place my duffel bag on the kitchen floor and head straight for the refrigerator. I would heat up my leftovers and I would eat them standing at the kitchen counter because if I went to sit at the dining room table, I was straying too far from the kitchen where all of the food was. And dinner was just the beginning. So after my sensible portion of leftovers, I would head for the bread, and then I wanted something salty, so I'd go for the chips, and then maybe a pickle and back to the chips, and then I'd want something crunchy, so I'd go for the peanuts, and then I was onto the sweet stuff. So I'd begin with ice cream and then chocolate and then back to the chips. And this was just my nightly ritual. So I'd finally grab my duffel bag, feeling stuffed, and I would head up to my bedroom and get ready for sleep. And the first thing I would do the next morning was an intense workout. And then I would delay eating for as long as possible to make up for my secret binge. Plus, I felt like I hadn't really earned my food yet, because I wasn't starving enough. So when I finally ate lunch, it was usually chicken breast and roasted vegetables. And I would teach a few more fitness classes and head home. Pull into the driveway, step out of the car, and head straight for the kitchen, set my duffel bag down, and start that binge ritual all over again. So the kitchen was my battleground. I desperately wanted not to eat the food, but I could not stay away from the food. And I just wanted to have more willpower and more self-control. So that was 5 years ago. And I've since made peace with food and my binge eating has disappeared. I still love to eat, but I'm calm around food now. I make food choices based on my intuition and I'm healthier than I've ever been. I don't track calories anymore, and yet I feel comfortable in my clothes and confident in my body. So how did I do it? Yes, my degrees and my certifications in the health and wellness field provided me with a lot of education around this, but I'll boil it down to one of the most game-changing pieces of information I received. And that is that binge eating is a direct result of deprivation. I was trying so hard to control my food intake throughout the day. I always try to eat as little as possible to maintain my slim figure. I was terrified of weight gain, especially because I was someone people looked up to in the fitness industry. So I would deny every craving and every hunger signal until I snapped. So it's absolutely no wonder every day ended in a binge, because binge eating is the body's natural reaction to starvation. So when we diet through restricting carbs and calories and consistently deny ourselves the foods we really want, we are creating an internal state of chronic deprivation. It's a safe bet that there's always a physical need for food that's not being properly met. But luckily, our bodies are really brilliant at doing what's got to be done to get our needs met. So our brains will intentionally pump out more of the neurotransmitters and the hormones that drive us to eat. And these hormones, these neurotransmitters, cause cravings intentionally because they perceive restriction as dangerous. So our bodies are trying to get us to eat. So when we finally give into what's just a biological need for food, we feel totally out of control. Isabel Fox and Duke uses a bow and arrow metaphor for binge eating. The further you pull it back, the further it's going to fly in the other direction. So the day following my nightly binge, I would compensate with an intense workout and try to eat as little food as possible. So I was restricting because of my binge, but then I would binge because of my restriction. And my binges became this last supper eating because every night I vowed I would do better tomorrow. So it was like, gotta get it in now, diet starts tomorrow. So it was this vicious cycle I thought I would never break free from. But I had to get to the root of the chaos in my relationship with food. And the root was the restriction or the dieting. I use those two interchangeably. I learned that when we stop restricting, we stop binging. Once we stop binging, we can repair our metabolisms and stabilize our body weights and all of those good things. But naturally, some fears and concerns come up at this point, like if I don't have restrictions, won't I be totally out of control around food? And I would argue that you're already out of control around food. But from a scientific standpoint, the research shows that we see better self-limiting habits in unrestricted eaters than we do in dieters. So portion control is a non-issue for non-dieters because they've learned how to self-regulate. And non-dieters have better nutrient intake than dieters. And that's only one of the positive health outcomes. Unrestricted eaters have better cholesterol, blood pressure, self-esteem, higher resting metabolic rates, and a lot more. But I hope that just that assures you that learning to let go of restriction will result in better health outcomes. But maybe health isn't even your concern. Maybe you're just afraid that you can't trust yourself around food. And I completely understand that. And we would just have to work to gradually repair that trust. And there are some phenomenal evidence-based principles that we implement and practice in coaching until you no longer feel at war with your body. Another fear of yours could be that by not dieting, you'll gain weight. But the research shows very clearly that dieting is one of the strongest predictors of weight gain. Studies indisputably show that 95% of diets fail. 95%. And we know that 2/3 of people who diet regain all of their lost weight and then some within 2 to 5 years maximum, if not way sooner. And you can look at your own personal history. I often have clients who have dieted their whole lives and lost weight just to put on even more weight than they lost, right? Diets virtually guarantee that you'll gain weight and potentially have a bunch of other negative health outcomes. So I'm going to bet that your personal history with food restriction and dieting confirms that it's not sustainable and it doesn't work, but it's not your fault. Dieting isn't set up to be maintained. Actually, when we restrict or when we cut calories or carbs or a food group, anything, our bodies will go into starvation mode. And in starvation mode, our metabolism slow down and our bodies store fat on purpose because, again, they perceive restriction as dangerous. And so they don't feel safe to release weight. So in that sense, dieting does virtually guarantee that you're going to store more fat. And then over time, you're going to see this long-term weight gain. So diets might work for rapid weight loss, but they're not designed to be a long-term lifestyle. And remember, this applies even if you're not on an official diet, but have beliefs about like okay foods and forbidden foods. It's going to show up the exact same way in your life. It's going to manifest as this disordered eating, just as it would if you were actively following the keto diet, Whole30, Noom, Beachbody, Paleo, Weight Watchers, or any weight loss meal plan. So you cannot go the rest of your life chasing diet after diet, expecting different results. And I understand the draw. With each new diet you hear about, you get a rush of hope that this will finally be the diet that sticks, that this will finally be the one that works for you and changes your life. And I'm telling you right now, if diets or meal plans haven't worked for you so far, they're not going to work. You can learn how to feed yourself without that disordered restrict binge cycle. It is totally possible for you to learn how to feel in control around food. And on the other side of a lifetime of dieting, you can finally graduate to a happy and free life where you are not a slave to your diet. Being a slave to your diet looks like freaking out about what to order at dinner because will it fit in with my calories for the day? It looks like not even going to dinner because you're too stressed about what you would eat. It looks like not socializing because you're not confident in your body or your ability to control yourself around the food that might be there. Being a slave to your diet looks like tracking every calorie in your phone or counting points or spending money on weight loss supplements and still being unhappy with your body. There is a better way. All you really need is a basic understanding of the nutrients your body needs every day to feel comfortable and energized, and you can master eating intuitively. You can learn how to be the expert of your body where you both nourish yourself and honor your cravings. So part of what I do is really simplify nutrition for my clients so they can stop feeling overwhelmed. And we work on restoring the body's natural signs and signals that say, I'm hungry and I'm full, so that you can make a conscious decision to rationally enjoy the foods that your body wants when your body wants them. You can stop when you're satisfied and move on with the rest of your life. No shame, no guilt, no compensatory behaviors. Right? Doesn't that sound ideal? It's really about restoring food back to this very balanced place in your life where you can take pleasure in it, but it's only one of the things that you take pleasure in your life. When your mind isn't consumed with food and body worries, you can focus on the things that really matter to you. At the moment, the shame and anxiety you're experiencing around food and your weight are overshadowing your enjoyment of food, your comfort in your body, and your full development as an individual. I want more for you. I want you to be able to do the things that are important to you without carrying such a heavy burden. I want to offer you the opportunity to be fully supported on your journey back to a peaceful relationship with food in your body. Do you want to feel in control around food? Do you want to be able to feel confident in yourself and to free your mind from worrying about food and your body 24/7? Do you want clarity and peace around food? If you answered yes to those questions, it sounds like we are at the beginning of a partnership that will help you heal your relationship with food. So if you are interested in learning more about how we could work together, I will set aside some time this week to talk with you individually to assess what's going on for you and see if there's anything I can do to help. This is a totally no strings attached call, and it's completely free. So you can click the button below to book your call. My calendar does tend to fill up fast. So if you don't see a time on there that works for you, just go ahead and shoot me an email at mariascrimenti.com. It's MARIA at MARIASCRIMENTI.com. And you can put the word waitlist in the subject line, and then we can just coordinate something together. Thank you so much for watching this training, and I look forward to talking to you soon.